Well, with all eyes focused on this showdown with North Korea, Iran is also defying the world with another missile launch. State TV claiming it has successfully tested a new ballistic missile capable of reaching much of the Middle East, including Israel. This comes as the Trump administration threatens to ditch the nuclear deal in the wake of Iran's continuing provocations. General Wesley Clark joins us now. He's a retired four-star general and a former NATO Supreme Allied Commander in Europe. He's also a contributor for the United States Armed Forces magazine. General, good of you to join us today. And always, sir, thank you for your service, which has been quite valuable for the United States. As we look forward to what's going on right now, tell me, if you will, your gut reaction to this situation with Iran.
With Iran, we're going to have to tighten up all of the measures we can to counteract Iranian influence in the region. They're reaching out through Syria. They're in South Yemen, pushing on Saudi Arabia, and we've got to participate with our friends and allies in the region and block it. Israel's taking measures now against Hezbollah on its northern border. We've got our troops on the ground spotting, working with the Free Syrian Forces. We've got to figure out how to use those forces to limit Iran's influence in the region.
I'm glad you brought up Israel, because during this week at the UN General Assembly, as you know, the president or the prime minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, went on to address this very issue, and he stated categorically that that Iran was a problem and that Iran would definitely take advantage of the deal that was struck during the Obama administration in terms of developing a nuclear weapon, and that it would have a sunset clause where it could have actual access just to go ahead and willfully design its nuclear weapons. Is that something that the world should take seriously and perhaps take another look at this agreement that was made during the Obama administration with Iran?
Well, I think we have to look at Iran very seriously. I think we have to relook this agreement. I don't know what we can do with the agreement at this point, because if we throw it out and we throw out all restraints, maybe they will get a nuclear weapon in 6 to 9 months. We don't know that. But what we do know is we're going to need all the capabilities of the U.S. Armed Forces to be able to deal with Iran and North Korea at the same time. We've been really focused for 15 years on low-intensity combat. That is to say, combat against people that don't have our equivalent capabilities. That's no longer necessarily true. So we're looking at Iran, we're looking at North Korea. We know the Russians have been assisting the North Koreans. We know Russia has a base inside Iran. So we have to believe there's a leakage of high technology there. We've got to be able to not only use unmanned aerial vehicles, we've got to be able to defend against them. We've got to strengthen our electronic warfare capabilities. Most of all, we've got to build up our military R&D overall. We've just cut it too far back. Yeah. So we've got great men and women in uniform. We're going to need them all in the days ahead, I'm afraid.
Yeah, General, you raised a lot of important issues, and sequestration has really hurt the United States military in terms of its R&D. But I want to play something that the president said. This is an excerpt of his speech before the UN Assembly, where he addressed the very issue of Iran. Let's listen.
Rather than use its resources to improve Iranian lives, its oil profits go to fund Hezbollah and other terrorists that kill innocent Muslims and attack their peaceful Arab and Israeli neighbors. We cannot let a murderous regime continue these destabilizing activities while building dangerous missiles, and we cannot abide by an agreement if it provides cover for the eventual construction of a nuclear program.
Now, General, in response to that, the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani calls President Trump's UN speech ignorant and hateful. What do you say about the president's speech? Was it strong or was it inflammatory?
Well, I think the president is making some important points about the dangers of Iran. The question is what we can do about it. And so it really is. I go back to President Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, saying, walk softly, carry a big stick. We've got to improve our military capabilities here. We've got to work directly against the Iranians through our allies, with our troops on the ground there, calling in air and other combat multipliers in the region. But I'd be very careful about unpacking this Iranian nuclear agreement without knowing what the consequences would be. Got to always look at, as bad as the threat is, what we learned going into Iraq in 2003 was that you can make a bad situation worse if you don't handle it the right way. And when you're dealing with the Middle East, it's all a powder keg. So we've got to really look before we leap on these issues.
General Wesley Clark, again, sir, thank you for your expert opinion as well as your service to this country. Good day to you, sir.